Welcome to SveNFL.
What is up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Skip Misara.
Two Americans living in Sweden talking about football. What's up, Skip Misara? How you doing, brother, man? Another week is in the books. Week 7 is done. How you feeling, man?
I feel pretty good. Especially considering that my team took a rather decisive beating over the weekend.
Aren't those better than a close, heartbreaking loss?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, my Falcons fandom is always tightly in perspective. So, there's I go into the weekend the same way. I go in with a lot of hopes that are usually unraveled by what I like to call my expectations. So it's funny. Somebody texted me on Sunday to tell me that they were playing like they were going to have like a hang type thing, and Hard Rock Cafe was going to show the Bengals Falcons game.
I think NFL Poland, they have they do Hard Rock.
And this guy was like, "Oh, are you going to be there?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, putting on like actual clothes and getting on the train and going across town to watch a Falcons game. No. I'm going to watch it from the comfort of my own home where I can be humiliated and embarrassed in private. Yeah, that's that's exactly where I'm at. But other than that, it was a great weekend. I mean, it was, it was pretty chill.
As for the NFL, it was the jar was shaking.
A lot of shit got shook. Yeah, you're right.
Man, I don't know. We've talked a few weeks or whatever about upsets and stuff, but is this the most? It feels like it's a lot. We haven't come to terms with who's who yet, I guess, because it feels like a lot of upsets.
I think that probably, and we'll obviously get into this more later when we talk about the games, but I think the reason why it either is the most or it just kind of feels that way. But I think the big thing that I walk away from this week is that you have a very real paradigm shift in the league at the moment, primarily revolving around the fact that we have, two legendary, legit Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, who,
as my uncle would say, they're struggling.
They're struggling. That's pretty good. I like that.
Oh, they're struggling.
Where it's one of those things where you kind of have to rethink. Like, we're so used to them being at a certain level, and here we are at week 7, still expecting the switch to flip, and it just didn't. It's not flipping, and I think that's causing everyone to rethink what the hell is going on here.
Yeah, man.
And then you throw Geno Smith being like, taking the Seahawks to the first place in the NFC West. It's like nothing makes sense right now. It's like, how did this happen?
If Geno Smith takes our bet down, I don't know, man. I think I end the pod.
Like, think about this. Like, in a few weeks, they're having the Germany game. I remember thinking to myself when they announced the game in Munich as being the Buccaneers versus the Seahawks, I was just like, Jesus, that's going to be a stinker. Like, the Bucs are just going to destroy the Seahawks. They're going to be awful this year. Who would have thought that Geno Smith would be the fucking headliner going into that game? Right?
Who's the Bucs backup? I'm wondering how long before this starts.
I know who it is. It's former Florida Gator Kyle Trask.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Smart of Tom Brady to be like,
you should draft that guy.
Yeah, draft Trask. At least it's on his terms. Like, the decision's on his terms. Yeah. Well, in Flip 'em Pick 'em, I won the week 8-6. We went nuts with these upsets, and none of them, the ones we chose, are the ones that didn't happen.
I know.
But so far this season, you're only down by 10, man. So
Unbelievable. Colts, how could you? I was rooting for you. Give me that Tyra Banks.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
We'll get more from her a little later.
You're absolutely right.
But yeah, let's get into it, man. The first game was the Colts Broncos.
Whoa.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I scrolled up. I'm sorry. Thursday night game football was the Cardinals Saints. I'm sorry. I was like, the Colts won. I'm sorry. The Colts lost. The Saints played the Cardinals. The Cardinals, Cliff Kingsbury walking around with swag and shit. Like he, I can't stand that dude, man. You beat the Saints. Hopkins came back. He outperformed what we thought. Because we were looking like, is he going to get 60-something yards? And he sure did.
He did. He had, and they targeted the shit out of him too. They were like, they said he wasn't going to be on a pitch count, and they meant it. It was like 14 targets, 10 receptions, over 100 yards.
It's not like he was injured. He was suspended for drugs, for substance abuse.
Right.
So they're like, I don't even know why anybody would ask about a pitch count. I guess maybe to save his hamstring or something. But it's not like.
Well, I think out. You're always a little concerned about maybe rust or whatever. True. And then they also picked up Robbie Anderson over the week, who was a complete non-factor in this game. He only had 1 target, 0 receptions. Benjamin had a night, 92 yards, and a touchdown on 12 carries. Kyler Murray had a mostly mistake-free night.
He was ready to run too. I mean, it's like, And the Saints looked overwhelmed too, like outclassed.
A lot of people are making a big deal out of this thing of Kyler Murray getting into an argument with Cliff Kingsbury on the sidelines. What did you make of that? Did you see it?
I didn't see it, but I mean, everybody make a big deal out of it. There's just cameras everywhere. That's all.
Cliff calls a timeout, and Kyler Murray is coming over the sidelines, and you can see his mouth. You can read it clear. You can read his lips. He says, "Calm down, calm the fuck down." And
who says that?
Kyler Murray says that to
Murray says that to Kingsbury. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah, and you can hear you can't see Kingsbury because you can only see the back of his head, but you can see that he's also,
what if in the front, like if there was a camera in the front and he was going,
yeah.
He's like, calm the fuck down, man.
I actually kind of liked
I'm scared, Kyler. Yeah, me too.
I actually kind of liked it. Kyler's showing a little heat, and a lot of heart.
Yeah,
I think it was like 14-10 at that point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically right before the Cardinals decide to put their foot on the neck of the Saints. Take over this game.
Fucking around.
And also, I would contend that if that were Tom Brady doing that or Aaron Rodgers, the entire football media world would be creaming in their pants over this. They were, that's leadership, bro. Yeah. That's
a man.
Leadership.
That's a man.
So all these writers who have been reading over the last couple of days who are out here they're basically trying to say Kyler Murray is like, he's just showing his immaturity. I'm like, fuck you, bro.
Fuck out of here. I didn't know that storyline was going around, man. Fuck that.
Yeah, it's dumb. The Cardinals.
Also, I want to throw out there because they're acting like there was this big explosion or whatever. The Saints were shooting themselves in the foot. Andy Dalton was out here, like giving 2 pick sixes in the game.
Yeah, he has. Did he have? I think he threw 3 interceptions in the first half alone.
And 2 of them, he threw 2 pick sixes, and it's like the red water pistol was added for real. so Cliff Kingsbury, he was walking with all the swagger on the sidelines. It's like that was your defense, bro. It's not like you came out here lighting it up.
True, and to be fair, I think what gets lost in this is that the Cardinals continue to struggle when scoring points in the first quarter. They got a field goal in the last game and in this one.
All right.
So for those of you keeping total, that's what was it, like 38-6 now?
Yeah.
They've been outscored in the first quarter. And yeah, you're right. If it's not for this defense, maybe we're having a very different conversation about this game, and also the return of D-Hop. You know,
the offense put up 28 points, but the Saints put up 34. So,
I mean, but in all fairness, I mean, the return of D-Hop. I mean, obviously, going into this game, you kind of this Cardinals offense looks so broken that it was like, is DeAndre Hopkins really? Is that going to make a difference?
They also added Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of did, to be fair, and so I don't know. We predicted this a little bit before the season started, knowing that DeAndre Hopkins was going to be suspended. That Kingsbury might actually have like sort of a reverse of what his season normally is. You know, normally he starts off hot and then he falls off. I was like, maybe they're trash, and then they get hot when D-Hop comes back. So we'll see.
My prediction was they were going to stay trash.
Right.
I thought they were going to be trash all year. We'll see. I think they're going to get a little bit of a bump. Teams are going to adjust, and right when they could try to make a push for the playoffs, the cliff happens. Falling off the cliff happens.
Yeah.
It's my guess, but I was going to say I hope I'm wrong, but I don't. You know, I think they should make a change over there.
It's still funny to me that, you know, I mean, sure, Andy Dalton throws 3 picks, 2 of which are pick sixes, but he also sort of managed to throw 4 touchdown passes, which is kind of crazy, and make this a rather, you know, I mean, it's still a 2-possession game, but still.
They were the next game, man. How was it at the Massara household?
Okay. As I've said many times, this is the game that the Massara family has had circled since the schedule was dropped in May. Mm-hmm. We were hyped for about 48 hours. It was just like every time we would pass each other in the hallway, we were like, "It's on." But you know it's on. You know it's on, right? Oh yeah, it's definitely on.
Can't wait.
My son Isak has always been more inclined to rep the teams that I rep, with a few exceptions. Yeah. Saga, on the other hand, has gone her own way.
And that's what pisses me off.
Sure. I mean, a lesser father would call her out as a disappointment, perhaps my second favorite child. But in all honesty, I kind of respect her for it. Like, do your thing, girl. I'm down with that. You want to rep the Bengals, even though you've never set foot in Cincinnati? Makes no sense, but go for it. It's fine with me. I've done way dumber shit in my life that makes far less sense than that. So it's not a big deal. Also, she chose the Bengals before they had mostly pretty much a winless season, and has stuck with them the whole time.
Shout out
and never backed off. So you kind of have to, despite the fact that she's never even been to Cincinnati.
Gotta appreciate that.
Yeah. Anyway, as you can imagine, my girl Saga, she was smiling early and often. Thanksgiving came.
What's up with the boyfriend?
You know what? He got sick. He got like a cold or something. He had a fever or whatever. Okay. So yeah, that whole situation didn't play out the way we thought it would.
You forgot to do the air quotes. He got sick. He didn't want to make this decision, man.
Right. Well,
I'm just playing.
Yeah. I mean, I think I knew who he was going to pick anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty obvious that Thanksgiving came early in Cincinnati. These Bengals said, fuck the turkey. We're going to cook us some Falcons, bro. Joe Burrow, good Lord, this man went 34 for 42, 481 yards, 3 touchdown passes, 0 picks.
Damn.
Tyler Boyd had 155 yards and a touchdown. Jamar Chase had 130 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Was Chase okay? He pulled up lame after a play.
He did, but he stayed in the game.
Okay.
We were she was worried for a little bit, but then he stayed and kept going. We got absolutely punched in the mouth right out of the gate. But to our credit, the Falcons tried to make it look like a game in the second quarter. They put up 17 points in the last 6 minutes of the second quarter. Exactly. They had like a 16-play drive, 75 yards, 10 minutes. That was followed up by a 1-play 75-yard drive that only lasted 10 seconds for that deep shot to Demir Bird.
Yeah.
we tacked on a very unlikely field goal right there at the end. To everyone's surprise, it was 28-17, which was just
right.
like shit.
Started getting close. Yeah,
this is for real. And getting the ball first out of the half, is always great, but it doesn't mean much when you have back-to-back 3 and outs and you score 0 points. I mean, the Bengals got another TD to make it 35-17, and they got the blowout score they truly deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's no question that the better team won. I personally was a good loser. Very congratulatory to Saga, which is more than I can say for Isak, who was full of excuses for why the Falcons lost this game. I get it. We lost. We lost AJ Terrell to a hamstring in this one. I'm sure he'll be back at some point. We also lost this other guy, D. Alford, who's been quite good. Hayward didn't play. But the truth is, we just got thumped.
It's a better team.
We got thumped, and I keep revisiting this, and Mariota, for me, he's fun, okay? And I'm really enjoying having something that doesn't look like a fucking statue standing in the pocket, which is what we have with Matt Ryan, who we'll get to later because there's some interesting news about him. But I really want to see Desmond Ridder. I want to see him. I want to see what he looks like. I want to see what we have. I mean, I love how the Falcons have this legit run game, but this shit where you have Kyle Pitts with 5 targets and 3 receptions for 9 yards, Drake London 1 target. I mean, you're losing.
Yeah.
This is where you need to start chucking it downfield. Run game, pass game, you need them both. You can't sacrifice one for the other. And I feel like I know for a fact that Desmond Ridder is more of a balanced type of quarterback. Like, he can run, like, maybe not as well as Mariota, but he was a scrambling quarterback. But he can also stand in the pocket and chuck the thing downfield. I really want to see what he's made of, so that we know if we need to go get something else. Because it's clear that Mariota is a bridge quarterback, no matter what you think of him. So I feel like it's time to figure this out.
That's a good point, man. Hopefully they do it, man. You got your coach. You're gonna need 1 or 2 more off seasons to really be a contender. So might as well see if you got the quarterback on the roster.
And we're way better than we thought we were gonna be.
Yeah.
So it's like, try it out, bro.
Yeah, man. We were talking about it. Let's get to it, man. Statues. Speaking of statues, shout out to Sergeant Segway. We got Matt Ryan over here just ruining our bet, man. Out here. We thought the Titans were going to fall off. They're sitting at 4-2. Probably head and shoulders. I don't know. We'll see, man. Derrick Henry is rolling. And the Titans, I picked them. I picked the Colts to win it, trying to get my upset and needing it desperately. And the Colts took that L, man. And the Titans tried their best to lose. They don't look good, actually. They're 4-2, but they didn't look good in this game.
So I'm a little confused because on my list, I've got Cowboys-Lions next. And I'm pretty sure that I picked the Colts for the upset and lost that.
Oh, was it you? I thought I picked it.
Yeah. I think so.
Maybe I just thought so. I got you with the yeah, you're right. Lions Cowboys was me picking that. I don't know why they moved this around on the ESPN. I'll just go with this one, with our Flip 'em Pick 'em spreadsheet that we got from a loyal listener. Yeah, it was. I picked the Cowboys to win over the Lions. I did say that they were going to beat the dog crap out of the Lions. And now I'm starting to reach for the panic button for Detroit. They've only won 1 game this season.
Yeah.
And they didn't even pinch the Cowboys coming off of a bye week.
True. I mean, Dallas didn't look very good either on offense, but their defense, again, just balled the fuck out.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
Micah, man, we might have called that right as the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Before the season.
I mean, this game was pretty close late, right? I mean, it was like
they scored on like the first drive, right, Detroit? They scored early.
Yeah,
and then they missed the extra point. And then they didn't.
It was only 6 to. The Cowboys were down 6-3 at the half. So the offense was like Dak was super rusty.
Yeah, you can see that. But I never felt like it was out of.
Exactly. You can afford to be rusty when your defense shows up and forces 5 turnovers in the game. Goff threw 2 interceptions. He had 2 lost fumbles. Jamal Williams fumbling on the goal line. God, are you kidding me? That always hurts. Even when that's just painful. You're so close. Zeke didn't have a ton of yards, but it has to be said that he did. But I'm saying in the game, when he was in the game, I mean, he was sort of the man for the moment on key first downs, as well as in the red zone, where he managed to blast in for a couple of touchdowns. I think this one really, you can draw it up to as like pretty much what we expected. The perfect comeback game for Dak, a game where even if he didn't really cook, he didn't have to be great to win, which obviously, as you alluded to, kind of brings you back around to these, kneecap nibbling Lions over here, who are 1-5, and asking themselves a lot of questions about how they're supposed to crawl out of the basement of what is a very weak NFC North. They were again without the services of my man, former Bulldog DeAndre Swift. They also lost Amon-Ra St. Brown in this game to a concussion.
Yeah, I saw that too. I knew it too. I knew it when he walked over because he tried to kind of play it off, and then they took that helmet.
I think the hard knock shine is starting to rub off on this team pretty quickly.
Campbell's starting to look just like a bad coach, man. I'm sorry. They at first, the first couple games when they were like putting points up, but now it seems like teams have figured it out, and it's like
what do you think about aside from their defensive struggles? Okay, Aiden Hutchinson had a couple of sacks in this game. You kind of have to give him credit for that. He looked good.
He came armed and dangerous.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he came short-armed, of course, because his arms are so short. But, besides their defense, you kind of get the vibe that, I mean, Detroit could be one of those teams that's a quarterback away, right?
No, man. I think
you don't think so?
I think their problem is kind of. I think they need an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I think it's their staff. I really think it's the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dan Campbell's too loyal to change it. Heads need to roll now.
That's a really good point. He needs to worry about
Dan Campbell. Like, I need to keep my job. Sorry, man. We tried it. We need to get a new offensive coordinator. We need to get a new defensive coordinator and get this thing right. And, keep his passion and fire and all that shit. And, use the fire part and fire some of these people. Get some experience in there to go with your determination.
Exactly. Like you go out. Yeah, get that grit. And if you really want grit, like, I mean, whatever. I don't know what the circumstances were, but in a moment where, in the off season, when you realize that the Ravens are going to fire a guy like Wink Martindale, go get that guy before he winds up with the Giants.
Go find an offense that you really like and get somebody from that staff that dealt with, in your case, I would say the quarterback, somebody that dealt with that quarterback, and make them your offensive coordinator. They bring that offense over there, and then they make it work. Like, if somebody would have thought, I don't know, Kellen Moore or like Mike McDaniel type of thing before, you know what I mean?
Sure.
That's the thing. Find an offense that you like, and then grab somebody from that staff, man. Get it built over there. That's what I would suggest for him, but he ain't gonna do it.
Nah, I don't think he listens to this.
They're just not gonna want that.
Next was the Colts and the Titans. You chose
the Colts
to win. It was just hoping for it. I mean, that felt like a toss-up game. And the Titans tried to let the Colts win this thing.
Yeah.
And the Colts just didn't want to, man. Matt Ryan was like, listen, man, I'm here to lose. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm going to throw 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
One of them is going to be a 75-yard pick six to Andrew Adams. So
it gave me hope though that the Titans can still be on a decline. Just happen to be 4-2.
True.
You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not sure you're going to feel that way when we get to the Matt Ryan news part of this. But also the other thing that's quite concerning about these Colts is that Jonathan Taylor being back did not really seem to help them very much. Like, what's going on with this dude this year? I mean, is it him? Is it the offensive line? Like what? I'm always a little shocked when a guy who is that good comes back the next year and is that fucking average.
I mean, with running backs, it's not as shocking.
No, sure, but it's like I don't know.
It was only his second year. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel bad. I didn't have much to say about this game. I was just kind of sad that the Colts seemed to be determined to tear down our bet.
Well, I mean, I think that you're right regarding the Titans. I mean, it's not like Ryan Tannehill was that great. He was only 13 for 20, 132 yards. He didn't throw any picks, but he did fumble standing in the pocket for way too damn long.
What? Ryan Tannehill standing in the pocket for way too long?
I know. He's like slightly younger.
Watched him for 6
He's like
years.
a slightly younger version of Matt Ryan, basically.
He's like an older version of young Ryan Tannehill. That I had to suffer through in Miami. That feels like he can be an MVP caliber quarterback, and then he just does something like that every game. And just to throw it or run. He can run too. Throw it. They're gonna remind you every game. He used to be a wide receiver in college.
Oh, please. Derrick Henry was a man. He was 30 carries, 128 yards.
Yeah.
The only touchdown the Titans came by way of this pick six. The rest of the points the Titans got came by way of fat Randy field goals.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I feel like there's not much worse in the world than being down in a game, late in the game, and having to tackle Derrick Henry in order to get the ball back. And I'm just like sitting there rooting for this man, rooting for the defense to just pull this gigantic tank down to the ground before the first down. And he just like, yeah, right. At the end of the game, imagine trying to tackle. Are you tired?
We talked about this during the game because he had a run like this late, and
it's just demoralizing.
The worst part is to imagine like when Derrick Henry manages to like break through into the secondary, like here comes this fucking freight train.
Yeah.
And you're asking this like 6'1",
180 pounds,
185 pound dude to try and like stop
and drag this thing.
And you're just like, oh, it hurts just to think about it.
I'd be like,
I'm sorry, I'm done.
I'm done.
There was a hilarious play in this game that has to be mentioned. Tannehill got knocked out of the game for a few plays. I think someone rolled up on his ankle. Malik Willis came in for a few plays, and then Tannehill comes back, and then suddenly it's like, wait a second. Both QBs are in the game. What the fuck is going on here? They lined up Willis as a wide receiver, and then they tried to run a jet sweep to Malik Willis, who promptly fumbled the ball. I was like, Titans, stop it. Stop. What are you doing?
Overthinking. You got this, man. That's disrespect to the Colts. It's like, yo, let's try that thing we tried.
At what point did you think you were the Kansas City Chiefs? Just fucking stop it, dude. This is not who you are. Like,
everybody's trying it, man.
It was silly.
Everybody wants to be the Chiefs.
But they got the dub. And what is that? Let's see. What that does sort of complicate our standings a bit, doesn't it? Huh?
Yeah, they're 4-2, and the Colts are 3-3. Thankfully, they got an upset not too long ago. So they're in second place over there. So we just gotta hope. No, they're 3-1. That's our thing right there. They're tied.
Okay, so I was gonna save this news for the next episode, but since we're talking about this game, I might as well just go ahead and say it. Matt Ryan was listed as out due to a shoulder injury after the game, and then the coach came out and said, yeah, he has a shoulder injury. However, we will be benching Matt Ryan for the remainder of the season.
Oh, shit.
What's his name?
Frank Reich?
No, I'm thinking of
the guy. Are you looking for the backup quarterback?
Yeah, I got it here.
Oh, no. Oh, we're done.
Sam Ehlinger.
Now that it's Sam Ehlinger, I feel better.
To me, this kind of feels like the ghost of Carson Wentz, sort of, you know what I mean? Like they made the mistake of they went out and they got Carson Wentz, and when things started to go off the rails, they stuck with him. Like, we're going to believe in our guy. And now here we are through 7 weeks, and it looks like Frank Reich is not willing to make that mistake twice, even though Matt Ryan is not the same problem as Carson Wentz. But he's made it clear. He's made it clear for now, but I mean, honestly, we don't know about Sam Ehlinger. This guy might be awful, so he could very easily change his mind. But that's the news on Matt Ryan.
Well, there went that. Why didn't we just take the Titans, man?
I don't think we'll see.
What, you don't think what? You don't think this is a downgrade?
I think it's a downgrade. I'm just not convinced that he's going to follow through on that.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, what if he comes out and throws like 12 picks in a game? It's like, you really going to sit Matt Ryan for that guy? Give me a break.
Oh, good point. Okay.
You know?
It was going to be a loss that game that they do that. That's the last thing who needs another loss.
Well, I think the downside too is that I think the Titans. I mean, they've beat the Colts twice already.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the Titans have to basically fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of falling apart, the Packers played the Washington Commanders.
Sergeant Segway strikes again.
Sergeant Segway.
That was solid.
The Packers lost to the Commanders. How? I have no fucking idea, man. I couldn't believe it as it was happening because the Dolphins were playing late, so I was watching Red Zone and just seeing it develop like that. I don't know, man. I have a hot take later that I'm gonna save. You're gonna love it.
Two teams that are seriously, what did your uncle say? Scruggling.
Yes, they're struggling.
They pulled it out and they showed it to each other,
and they both laughed.
And they both were just like, I don't even know I have no idea what I'm looking at right now.
It's the same size. Is that mine?
Hey, whoa! How did you steal that?
Spider-Man. Spider-Man pointing at their crotches.
Oh my God! The Packers wide receiver issues continued, but in this one they also had problems running the rock. Only 38 total rushing yards.
Jeez.
Aaron Jones did have 2 receiving touchdowns, but again, when you need your top running back to catch all the receiving touchdowns, then there has to be something wrong.
No first downs. No third down conversions.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the Packers were going to roll, but then Taylor Heineke, he had a rough start. Obviously, he threw a pick 6 in this game, which was not pretty. But he to his credit, he stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
And also the defense, for the Commanders ran a total of 72 plays to the Packers 47.
God.
I mean, the difference in the game was obviously Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. Not a lot of big like splash plays, but they just kind of kept moving the sticks. And when Heineke needed a big play, all of a sudden Terry McLaurin is available. Like, I mean, he probably had one of his better games of the year.
Yeah, man. That touchdown throw over the shoulder like that. Oof.
That was nice. Yeah. And also his ability to stand in the pocket and make a throw, even though you knew he was about to get absolutely blasted.
Yes, and he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to him. We said addition by subtraction. I said it jokingly.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I just remember that I remember the Commanders didn't look half bad with Heineke last year.
Right.
I mean, they look kind of fun. And
his ceiling
don't forget,
his ceiling's kind of low, man. His ceiling's kind of mid.
Sure. And there's obviously, you can look back to the playoff game from 2 years ago where Heineke nearly beat the Bucs, which was rather impressive as well. But, I don't know, man. It sort of feels like Heineke's a better he's a better fit for what they have at the moment. Like, I would predict a Carson Wentz benching just like the Matt Ryan one at some point. I don't know what's wrong. I don't remember what's wrong.
Wentz benching makes more sense, though.
Yeah, of course it does. The Packers also had 9 penalties in this game for 70 yards.
Yeah.
You tack that on to an absolute anemic offense.
Yeah.
And I know I probably should have done this last week, but I feel like I'm calling it. It's officially time to hit the panic button in Green Bay, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Go
ahead and
smash it.
I don't have anything for a panic button, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carson Wentz has a broken finger and had surgery,
right?
So he's on IR. So that's what 4 games. You got to be gone for 4 games on IR.
Right.
So, looks like it's Heineke's show, man. Pull it out.
I'm here for it.
Pull it out.
I'm here. Let's go, Heineke. I want to see it.
Next game was and in that one I did pick the Packers to win that. What was I thinking? The next game, you for some reason thought the Bucs could beat the Panthers.
I mean, who would have thought?
Who would have thought the Bucs would beat the Panthers? Everybody. It was the most lopsided one, I believe.
I'm so ready to dive into this. This to me was my favorite game of the week.
I bet.
First game after trading
you call
CMC.
me champ.
Yeah, let's go, Mr. Apologist. First game after trading CMC, you could only assume the Bucs would absolutely destroy these PJ Walker
and Robbie Anderson
Panthers. Yep, and Robbie Anderson. Oh my Lord, I've never been so happy to be so wrong in this situation because obviously, like I said, my Falcons got shredded. So for me, this was one to savor. Brady goes 32 for 49.
Throwing it 49 times.
290 yards. No touchdown passes, of course. It was a mixture of dropped passes, which Mike Evans,
bro.
Have you ever seen a drop? Like, it's weird. You can look at any given game and you can say, like, oh, that was the moment that they lost the game. Who says that about a first quarter drop? But it really felt that way.
Yeah,
it felt like the moment he dropped that ball, which was, I mean, he was open by at least 10 yards.
10 yards. It was a wrap.
It's right in his hands. It was almost comical the way it flew up into the air when he bobbled it to try to bring it back in. But it really felt like all the air came out of their tires at that moment, and they just were never able to recover. And obviously, we don't know that, but whatever. Yeah. It was a mixture of drop passes and Brady being so off target throughout this game, especially when he tried to go deep. I mean, the unraveling of these Bucs was one of the most enjoyable experiences for me on this particular Sunday. And I'm truly sorry, Bucs fans, that I'm taking so much joy in this Tom Brady demise. But you have to understand, my feeling about Brady, by and large, has nothing to do with your team. It really doesn't. It's an old wound that runs deep. And will probably be with me forever. I'm sure that you probably have a player that you will hate for life as well. So
it happens to also be Tom Brady.
Yeah, you just picked the wrong guy. You know what I mean? For the Panthers side of this, it felt more like a game. This felt more like a game after the coach getting fired. Than when the coach actually got fired. The after CMC effect, whatever. I don't know what to call it.
It's that nobody believes in us.
The GM said before the game, like, you know, we are out here trying to win football games, which is a statement that nobody believed in that. But Deonta Foreman and Chuba Hubbard certainly did not get the memo because together they absolutely gashed the Bucs defensive line, gashed it. Foreman had 15 carries for 118 yards. Hubbard had 9 carries for 63 yards and a TD. And the way, like big chunk plays, like back-to-back, like chunk plays. It was like a 60-something yard run followed by a 40-yard run. It was just like bam, bam, bam. It just kept jabbing him. Yeah. And PJ Walker to DJ Moore. I mean, was that a thing of beauty or what? That touchdown catch where he's like across the back, gets the toes in. Yeah. I mean, and the other one, the one that just perfect, drop that ball into a bucket. PJ Walker to the tight end, Tommy Tremble. I mean, that was a thing of beauty as well. And now the coach is saying, the interim coach is basically suggesting that Baker Mayfield is probably going to be the backup for the rest of the season.
Ooh. Well, no, let PJ. We'll see how long that lasts. Mm-hmm. We'll see. Maybe Baker can't make the reads.
My last juicy tidbit for this game.
I could see it. I was ready to move on, but I knew something. You had something more.
Hold on, let me stretch my neck. A little bit. Through 7 weeks, the Bucs are averaging only 17 points per game. They're sandwiched between the Jets and the Broncos when it comes to total offensive stats. Plus, Tom Brady and these Tampa Bay Buccaneers have now just lost back-to-back games where they're favored by double digits going up against Mitch Big Dick Trubisky and PJ Walker. Bro, it is soul-searching time for these Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And they're still at the top of the NFC South.
Exactly. To be fair, the NFC South is a joke. The Bucs are tied with the Falcons for first place. And as bad as Carolina and New Orleans are, I mean, they're only 1 win back from being tied for first place as well. Yeah. So,
and Carolina has the tiebreaker right now.
That's the good news, Bucs fans.
All right.
I am actually sorry because the Bucs fans themselves, I got no beef with them.
You just hate Saints fans.
Yeah, Saints fans are fucking annoying.
All right. Then we got
But I love your city. I love New Orleans. New Orleans is like the greatest place on earth. I don't know why you guys are so cranky and annoying. But anyway, move on.
I tried to call an upset here. I thought the Jaguars would get the Giants, get an upset and then to refuel the Giants to get them going. One of those trap games. But the Jags didn't get the memo, and they lost. The Giants won. The Giants are walking around here 6-1. Who saw this coming? Are they for real? I still don't feel like they're for real. I'm not believing yet, but I got blinders on. I don't know.
I can't. I couldn't agree with you more. Like you obviously cannot besmirch their record, but at the same time, I just have such a hard time wrapping my head around the idea that they're good.
We're going to be scratching our head while they're in the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know, man. Are they for real?
But there's also a fairly decent chance that, I mean, we thought we were having the same conversation about the Arizona Cardinals last year, right? They were the last.
Good point.
They were the last undefeated team last year. Didn't they make it to like 7 or 8-0? I don't remember how many games they won before they finally lost.
Yeah. And
then it started to fall apart. And
the year before that, the Steelers. Didn't they go 11-0?
You're right. You're absolutely correct. That was
we were like, come on.
We were like, stop it.
Yeah.
And the NFC East does have the easiest schedule this year. So,
okay.
So it shouldn't be a huge surprise that the Eagles are undefeated. The Cowboys are looking good. The Giants are looking good. Who else? Who else is in that division?
The Giants, the Eagles, the Commanders.
Yes, yeah. Well, the Commanders look like shit, but that's yeah.
I feel like we're missing a team.
Well, it's Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Commanders, and Cowboys. Yeah. Anyway,
so 3 of them look good. Yeah.
T-Law. I mean, look,
T-Law and Associates.
I mean, look. Here's the thing. He did throw for 310 yards.
Okay,
but he completed fewer than half of his passes. If it wasn't for Travis Etienne, who had 114 yards and a touchdown,
just over half his passes, right?
Yeah, this would have been a complete disaster without Travis Etienne.
I love watching him run, though.
He's good. This was actually pretty close. Went back and forth. But I have to say, I'm more impressed. Here's where I'll give Giants some credit. It's the way Brian Daboll manages to win games.
Yep.
To me, he's the difference. The way he can look at what he has and figure out a way to balance his attack in an effort to sort of maximize his chances to win the game based on what he has available. To me, this guy, like, you can just go ahead and give him. They always give this. They usually give Coach of the Year to a rookie coach.
Yeah,
just give it to him because honestly, he's. I mean, it helps too.
Yeah. Also, I want to throw something in there real quick. He was in Buffalo before, and it looks like he's turning Daniel Jones into poor man's Josh Allen. He's willing to call the runs for him. He's he's controlling them a bit, like how they did at the beginning of Josh Allen's career before they unleashed him in year 3. So I don't know if they really stick with Daniel Jones if something shinier comes along, but he's really maximizing Daniel Jones and keeping him out of his own way pretty much.
I've read a lot of stories that I find fascinating where when they asked Daboll about specifically about Daniel Jones, his general comment that he keeps coming back to is that, well, you know what? Daniel Jones just really needed somebody who believes in him. And I think that appears to be the relationship that they have at the moment. And I don't know if that's the difference. I mean, it's not Daniel Jones is not out here crushing the universe or anything, but
he's not. He used to make them look like he used to have them. He used to do dumb shit. You knew that it was a Daniel Jones dud of a pass coming or just like a brain fart, and it doesn't seem like it's happening.
Yep,
could be the difference.
Obviously, we cannot move on without mentioning Saquon Barkley because he's obviously a huge reason why they won this game. He's got over 100 yards, and the way he cuts and jukes his way through the line,
love it
to get through. He's so good. I mean, he's special. And again, Danny Dimes out here spreading the ball around. Slayton, Robinson, Barkley. I mean, he's hitting everybody.
Just Daniel Jones had over 100 yards rushing. God damn.
Yeah. And also, again, we have to shout out the Giants D, who, I mean, if you have to pick one play that led to them winning this game, it has to be this play at the end. Christian Kirk catches the ball and they stand him up at the 1 yard line. I mean, talk about defending every blade of grass, bro. Right?
That's
huge play. Huge play. Some people will say that the refs tried to give this game to the Jags with all these wacky calls towards the end, which I don't know. I guess you'd have a point there.
Roughing the passer.
But Daboll and the Giants, I don't know, man. They keep winning. They keep making us all look stupid for calling them a fake winning team. And until
they get exposed as a fake winning team.
Time will tell. If there is a team that I think will be like last year's Cardinals, it's this one. But this T-Law situation is a real issue, in my opinion. Thoroughly unimpressed by his second year.
Agreed.
The
question is, was Urban Meyer the problem? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and then obviously, people can say like, "Oh, well, he's got a new coach," but to me, that's fucking bullshit. Because he's a new coach. He's over here sitting at 6-1 with Danny Dimes. It's like the Jags, in my opinion, have better talent on paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I thought they were gonna pull it out.
And all this business, I think this particular quarterback class, in my opinion, the Trevor Lawrence class, I have some issues with that, and would definitely maybe get into a segment about that some other time. But it's like, this guy was supposed to be a generational arm talent.
Man,
is the way he was pitched to us when he came through the draft. Generational talent. He's going to change our whole DNA and concept and brain malfunction regarding the way football is played. Now, maybe it sucks for him that he wound up in Jacksonville, but I don't know. I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it either. I'm understand that we could find out later. Everybody's going to be pointing to Josh Allen. Year 3 was when he kind of came on. So maybe they got to go get them a Stephon Diggs type of person to unlock it.
That's a fair point.
We'll see. Next one, we have the Browns versus the Ravens. You picked the Ravens. The Ravens tried their best to lose this game.
Wow.
But the Browns the Browns are the Browns. So the Ravens won. Ravens were up by Ravens. You know what they should do? They should make sure that the game is close when it comes into the fourth quarter, because if they're up by a lot at the end of the game, then they lose. And they tried. They were winning by 10.
If Harbaugh would just call me, I would be able to tell him, like, look, there's a recipe for this bird flu that the Falcons have passed on to you. and it's precisely that. You do not want to be leading at any point in the game, especially not at halftime. It's a surefire loss. This was another game where my man, former Bulldog Nick Chubb, just balled the fuck out.
Yeah.
But the Browns, again, found a way to brown it up.
Yeah, man. The Doodoo Browns.
Can I ask a question? Is it just me, or does it feel like something horrible is getting ready to happen almost every time Jacoby Brissett drops back to throw the football?
It's something about the way his wind up. I just do not believe in that dude, man.
Every time he takes the snap and you realize he's not going to hand it off.
Yeah.
We all have that little voice in our heads that talks to us. I have a couple, but there's one that distinctly, when that happens, it says very loudly, like, "Oh no,
yeah,
oh god, oh shit, not good." It just feels like this is not the dude who you want to have the ball in your hands. Despite fumbling the ball twice, he didn't have a terrible game.
I don't know if I've seen him throw for over 250 yards like that.
He did have a couple of nice deep shots to Amari Cooper.
And he was unleashing it a bit. I didn't know he could.
Donovan Peoples-Jones, yeah. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a bad fumble in this game too. That was unlucky for them. There was a moment in this game where Brissett did a great job. Okay, this was so to me. This brings the whole thing full circle for me on Jacoby Brissett. He drops back to pass. He nearly gets sacked. He did a very good job of ducking the sack and kind of getting out of it, right?
Yeah.
And the announcer declared triumphantly, "Jacoby Brissett, he's a magician."
Must have been Gus Johnson.
At which point, myself, Isak, and Saga nearly simultaneously had our drinks like squirt out of our noses. It was easily the most absurd thing I heard all week.
I remember that moment too, man.
Jacoby Brissett and all that, he's a lot of things, but magical ain't one of them. I was just like, what the fuck is he talking about?
He's like, I will turn this W into an L.
Are you watching? Did you see that?
Got a loss. Lamar
Jackson probably had one of the worst statistical games of his life.
Yes.
19 for 16, 120 yards passing, no touchdowns, only 59 yards rushing, which for a quarterback, obviously that sounds great, but not for him. Yeah. The Ravens didn't have a single receiver over 50 yards. Mark Andrews, Jesus, their most dangerous weapon, 0 receptions. He put up a fucking donut. This game was there for the taking for the Browns.
Check this out. The Browns' next game. Here's the next 4 games. They got the Bengals, the Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, and then the Bucs.
Mm.
I don't remember when Deshaun Watson is supposed to come.
I can tell you that it's
the Bucs
week
game,
12.
right? Is it the Bucs game or the Texans game?
I think it's.
Oh, it's the Texans game. That's what it is.
Is it
so
the Texans game?
Yeah, the league did that on purpose. My brother wrote that to me. He was like, the league think they slick, man. They gave him 11 games so he can come back and play the Texans in his first game back.
Yeah.
To get the ratings or whatever. I feel like he could come back to possibly a 2-9 record.
I agree.
And that's what we all wanted.
Yeah.
That's what we all wanted. Even though, the Browns probably going to end up winning in the end with next year.
Well, I want a little bit more. I wanted him to come back to a 2-9 team, and I want him to look like absolute dog shit the rest of the way. I want them to finish 2 and whatever, despite his return.
That'd be nice. 2-15. And it'll be another time when he, as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, has a shitty season.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't he had like a 4-win season?
He had a 4-win season that year when they got fleeced by the Dolphins. And then the Dolphins went to go get him, which was stupid. It's like, obviously, it's not just a quarterback. Oh.
Honestly, I feel like neither team walks away from this game feeling good about themselves.
No.
The Browns obviously browned it in the end. They had a 55-yard field goal attempt pushed back to a 60-yarder because of a false start.
Yeah.
Which there was a little bit of controversy on that call because it seems as though there was evidence that the Ravens player was lined up offside, which caused the false start. Either way,
being lined up offsides isn't a penalty until the snap.
True.
So if you're lined up offsides, if you're near the play and you make a move, then that's encroachment. But
yeah, they could have tied the game. The field goal got blocked. And then they got the ball back with 16 seconds, of course. But as I said before, Jacoby Brissett is not magical. He is not going to score any points in 16 seconds. And then there was and then I think he actually fumbled to end the game. Like I don't know if that was him or Donovan Peoples-Jones. I can't remember. But either way, there was no magic here. There was nothing. It's over. Browns are trash.
Speaking of magic, the Jets.
That was a bit of a stretch there, Sergeant Segway.
I should have said, speaking of trash, the Broncos. The Jets beat the Broncos. Didn't surprise anybody. I picked that, and the Broncos are just
you could have said, speaking of magic, Breece Hall with a 62-yard touchdown run to start this game off. That guy, sadly.
Yeah.
I believe we will not be seeing him for the rest of the year. Toward the ACL, but before that, he was as advertised, man.
Yeah,
this kid, what a loss for them. Terrible.
Yeah. It might take this season, man.
Well, who did they get? They just traded for somebody.
They didn't get somebody like Breece Hall.
No. Whatever. We'll get to that in the next episode. But they made a trade. I can't remember who it was. The Broncos did answer that 62-yard touchdown with a nice 13-play, 75-yard drive of their own. But after that, this game was a giant pile of dog shit. And I mean, nothing but punts and field goals with a couple of turnovers sprinkled in there just to
let the Jets fans tell her that they're on fire. They're gonna just take the league by storm. Say, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, bro, Brett. Okay, let's get into this Brett Rippon business. He's
the second best Rippon that the Washington football team's ever had.
Oh my God, he was about as good as you would expect. 22 for 46, 225
Why are
yards.
he throwing the ball 46 times?
I don't know. No touchdowns, 1 pick, and a fumble. He did not even look like he knew where his receivers were supposed to be early in this game. He was throwing into the abyss. That place where Dan Campbell is trying to drag people.
I'm at the wrong game.
Yeah,
that's why we lost.
I mean, he was throwing into the abyss with no receivers in sight for much of the first half. But he's a backup quarterback. So, but to be fair, it kind of made me wonder, like, what the hell is Zach Wilson's excuse? Because he wasn't very good either.
Man, that dude not going to make it past one contract.
No, dude, 16 for 26, 121 yards, no touchdowns. And how this dude did not throw a pick is a complete – that's the real magic to me. I really do not like the way this kid plays quarterback. He plays like he's still in college, where there's like no one open. He scrambles, and a lot of times he'll take a step back and throw off of his back foot and just float. He'll float one up, hoping that one of his guys will get under it. I mean, this dude is fucking reckless, bro. Yeah. I don't like him. Right. Breece Hall, obviously that was the bad news. Without him, this team ain't shit. And I know that they won this game, but Skip Stradamus spoke to me. And he is predicting right here, right now, given that Breece Hall is out for the season, these New York Jets are about to fall off a cliff.
Yeah, I agree.
They're about to fall off of old Kingsbury Cliff.
Yeah.
It's getting ready to happen. And then, of course, as far as Nathaniel Hackett is concerned, I just don't see how this dude being the coach of this team. I don't see how he's the coach next year of this team. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't either, bro.
This performance plus the new ownership that didn't hire him. I mean, these guys paid $6 billion to buy a fucking football team, and they're looking down at the top from the top of the stadium going, what the fuck did we just buy? You know what I mean? Yeah. Your defense, it's like when you go to the store and you buy a birthday cake and you bring it home and you open it up and they like put the wrong name on it or they misspelled it or something. It's like, motherfucker. I mean,
you get a tattoo and the tattoo artist spells the name wrong.
Yeah. I mean, the defense forced 3 and outs all over the place, but your offense can't do anything with it.
It's the story of their season.
The Jets had 8 3 and outs. 8. And the Broncos' second half possessions are punt, interception, punt, polished off with back-to-back turnovers on downs. That's not good football.
Nathaniel Hackett, man. Public enemy number 1 in Denver.
I would like
every week I look up articles of the local media coming after Nathaniel Hackett. I suggest that for enjoyable reading for people.
It is fun. I would like to sort of preemptively formally apologize to the entire United Kingdom who have a lot of like political turmoil on their own.
Yep, and a change in the leadership of the country.
Yeah,
the monarchy.
It's been a lot of shit going down over there. And now next week we'll obviously get into this more in the next episode. But next week they will be playing host to the Jaguars and these Denver Broncos. I mean, this could be one of the shittier games they've ever had there.
The shittiest shit bowl ever. They got the Jaguars last year, though.
I'm reading articles. I'm reading articles that Hackett might get fired after this London game.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
of course. Yeah, we looked at the schedule. We were talking about that, and
because did they go on a bye week after this? Is that the case? Is that the logic?
No, the teams. I just found this out. The teams can choose to take a bye week or not.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
But they're not taking it. It looks like their bye week looks like it's what? Have they had it already? Oh no, their bye week is after the Broncos. That is the London game, huh? Okay, I'm looking ahead. Yeah. Okay. That's when their bye week is after that game, after London.
Okay, so that makes sense why they would fire
the Titans. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect because then they fire them and then they come back and then they win their game against the Titans to help us out.
We need that.
We'll see. The next game we got going is the Texans Raiders, which was you picked the Raiders to win over the Texans coming off a bye week, and they did just that. But they're gassing them up, man. They're gassing up the Raiders as if they're good. I'm not a believer in the Raiders either.
Well, here's the thing. Davis Mills played better than he has so far.
Mm-hmm.
And Dameon Pierce obviously continues to impress. But none of this really matters when you have to play someone like Josh motherfucking Jacobs at the moment, who I feel like is just completely taking the crown for the most dynamic running back in the NFL this year.
He took the Jonathan Taylor juice.
Yeah, he certainly did, because he had 20 carries for 143 yards, over 7 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Jesus, what a weapon.
Insane.
Talk about pulling it out and showing everyone how big it is. I mean, this guy.
It was dragging behind him as he scored a touchdown.
How does he run so fast with that thing dragging behind him like that? As far as Derek Carr is concerned, I mean, he was serviceable. Yeah. You know what I mean? He wasn't that special, but he did have that. He always has like that one great pass, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He had this one, just an absolute dart to Mac Hollins. Who basically split the safeties, and there was just like really only one place the ball could go if you wanted him to catch it for the touchdown, and he hit it on the nose. Sick ass throw. He
needs to talk some shit, Derek Carr, though. Like any week when he performs better than Tom Brady, he should come out and say they went with this motherfucker.
Right. Yeah,
he should do that.
This one was closer than expected for the majority of the game. It kind of looked like the Raiders wouldn't be able to stop the Texans, honestly. Like every time the Raiders would score, the Texans would answer in some kind of way. But that third Josh Jacobs touchdown put them up for good. Before Davis Mills came out and said, you know what, I'm going to throw a 73-yard pick six just for fun. The Raiders. The Raiders are funny because I actually think a lot of people were calling them the best 1-4 team in the league because they've been sort of the the team that lost a lot of close games so far this year, and I do think they're better than their record. I'm curious. I'm curious to see if this is the beginning of that turnaround for them. We'll see.
If they were in the NFC, it would be different. I think.
If they were in the NFC, no. If they were in the NFC, they'd be like crushing everyone probably.
Yeah, the NFC is trash. Just a quick shout out to Dameon Pierce. He's still balling.
He's fun to watch. I like him.
The running backs are, the rookie running back class is looking good. I'm so sad about Breece Hall. Is it Breece or Bryce Hall? Breece Hall.
Breece.
Micah, Breece, Bryce. I don't have a transition for this one, but the Seahawks played the Chargers. The Chargers. I thought they were going to win this, man. I thought the Seahawks were overperforming, and that the Chargers were ready. And I'm done with Brandon Staley.
Okay, well then I might actually have the answer to my question because I wanted to start this off by asking you a question.
Okay.
Is it now acceptable for me to stop pretending like the Chargers are a good football team?
Yes.
It's okay for me to do that now?
Yes.
I'm asking for a friend.
I think they need to get us. They need to win us back over.
And the way the announcers continue to swoon over Justin Herbert in a game like this, 33 for 51, 293 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and a pick that led to a Seahawks touchdown. Plus, they also turned the ball over on downs twice, I think.
Well, that's the Brandon Staley special.
Which I think both of those turnover on downs led to Seahawks touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Herbert also had a fumble that led to a field goal in this game. I just feel like I've said this before on this podcast. Like I like Justin Herbert. I'm rooting for him to succeed because you can see the kind of quarterback he is, right? He's one of those guys who just likes to grip it and rip it. And I love that. Yeah. That's fun as hell. But I'm sorry, they're not a good football team right now. And I'm tired of pretending like this, like what we're watching is somehow special in any way, shape, or form. The Chargers defense is not good enough either. I mean,
they should be though. And he's a defensive coach. Like I do not understand this at all.
I know.
As far as Justin Herbert, you have to remember, Skiff. The man is tall. He's got a strong arm. He's white, and he's handsome.
That's true.
They are going to want him to be the face of the NFL. Now, they need a coach that can make it happen, but they chose to go with Brandon Staley because he had coffee with Sean McVay.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the guy who deserves to be the face of the NFL is undisputed true winner of the Russell Wilson trade, Mr. Geno fucking Smith. Let's go.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though.
I mean, Geno was dropping dimes in a bucket.
Yeah, man. He's looking better.
What's his name? Marquise Goodwin.
Goodwin was balling.
He only had 4 catches for 67 yards, but 2 just gorgeous touchdown catches.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler didn't do shit for the Chargers. He had only 53 total rushing yards. But on the other side, you got this Kenneth Walker III
man
blowing the doors off of the Chargers.
Last week's MVP for me is still balling.
Bro, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He's a rookie, right?
I think so, yeah. One of them was like a 74-yard blast. I mean, it has to be said. The Seahawks, by a country mile, the biggest surprise of the season. Yeah. No one thought they would be this fun. Forget about the record. Nobody thought they would be this fun to watch.
Yeah.
Which is precisely the opposite storyline that we were expected for the Chargers.
Yeah. We thought the Chargers were going to be that electric team. I thought Herbert was going to be the MVP of the league. And he's still up there in the voting, right? Or in the odds.
Of course he is.
As one of the top prospects for MVP. And it's like, he's not having an MVP season. Geno Smith is, though.
I honestly cannot think of a team that came into this season with legit expectations that I'm more underwhelmed by, other than the Broncos. The Broncos probably win that. But the Chargers are in second place for me on that one.
Yes.
And I get that they're still, I mean, they're 4-3. I mean, congrats on that. But
you were just talking about the best 1-4 team.
Yeah.
With the Raiders, this is the worst 4-3 team. The Chargers.
Yeah, for sure. And if you go back and look at all those wins, go back and look at them. They barely beat the Raiders. They barely beat the Texans. They barely beat the Browns. And they barely beat the Broncos.
Barely.
Next week, I think they have a bye week this week.
Why do I love that sound so much?
It's funny. This week they have a bye week, which I hope they can get right because they're going to play a real team when they come out of the bye week. They got to go up against my Atlanta Falcons who, just watch the fuck out, bro. We're coming for you.
And don't forget they got their ass beat by the Jaguars.
That's true.
38-10. God damn. Their ass beat by the Saints. Or was that a preseason game? No, I'm sorry. That's a preseason game. That shit don't count. Still got their ass beat.
I'm talking about practice.
I'm on practice. Not a game.
We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
He said that shit like a poet.
That's so good.
All right. Speaking of so good, the Chiefs were playing the 49ers and reminded everybody why they're the top team in NFL. I don't know what else to say, man. They beat the 49ers. One of the top defenses in the league, top 3 defense in the league, and they put up 44 points on them.
That whole top defense in the league business is, we'll see how.
They got 11 starters injured, the 49ers. So, yeah, we do have to stop saying that.
From my perspective, okay, so still reeling from their loss to the Falcons. The 49ers made the move of the decade by mortgaging their future to get Christian McCaffrey. This is what happens. This is how bad it feels to get beat by the Falcons. Like, you're just going to give away your entire future draft class to get Christian McCaffrey. And it did not help because the Chiefs came out and absolutely shredded this 49ers defense.
Yeah. It was crazy. It's crazy to watch man, give this man Eric Bieniemy his flowers, bro.
Yeah, and obviously
423 yards.
I referred to Jacoby Brissett This idea of him, being magical, like the absurdity of that. And it's even more absurd when you analyze it through the lens of Patrick Mahomes going 25 for 34, 423 yards passing, 12 yards per pass play, and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he threw a pick early, but it's not like it mattered. Don't talk to me about Jacoby Brissett being magical. Just pick your moments, bro. Mahomes is the real deal. The 49ers, they used McCaffrey a lot early, but you could tell as the game started to slip away, it almost felt like I don't remember even seeing him in the second half that much. They went back to Jeff Wilson. It was a tight game at the half. I mean, Kansas City was only up 14-3.
Yeah.
Jimmy G wasn't terrible. 14-13. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jimmy G was not that bad at that point. Kittle had probably his best game of the year. Ayuk was looking good. But this Chiefs offense is they're so weird this year. And again, we've said it so many times, you never know who to look out for. And in this one, look, I just have to say these things because they happen. You know what I mean? But my man, former Bulldog, it's not my fault. Miko Hardman scored 3 motherfucking touchdowns in this game. 3.
Yeah, I thought about it as it was happening. I was like, fucking Schif, man.
Am I not supposed to mention that he scored 3 touchdowns and where he went to college? I mean,
no. I mean, it's part of the game, man.
I mean, he was dynamic. Juju also had a monster day. And that's 2 weeks in a row, I think. So I think if we're starting Juju, to me, I'm kind of curious. We've been talking about how it's like always a different guy every week. But now here we are at week 7. I'm kind of curious if it's going to start to be Juju every week.
It's 2 in a row.
You know what I mean? Because it's 2 in a row where he's balled the fuck out. MVS also had a nice day too. So,
Whoa! It don't get no better than that, baby.
And speaking of that, man, thank you, Sergeant Segway. Because the next thing I wanted to say is, and I know that this is a little dumb, but it is kind of funny that on National Tight Ends Day, a day that is completely made up.
Completely.
Primarily, but so are most holidays. Primarily thanks to George Kittle and Travis Kelce. What are the odds that Kittle and Kelce end this game with virtually the exact same stat line? They both had 6 receptions for 98 yards.
Both of them. Tight ends.
Both of them on National Tight Ends Day.
Yeah,
I mean, Kittle had the touchdown, so he gets the edge on that one. But still, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
How the 49ers plan to use McCaffrey going forward is kind of anyone's guess. All this chatter, though, about the 49ers being a Super Bowl team, suddenly it makes no sense to me.
No, man. And when does he play a full season?
Again, I'm going to get into this a little more in the next episode, but a running back is not even close to the 49ers' biggest problem.
No.
Not even close. I even heard some crazy. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard this phrase before. You know how people say, like, oh, that team's like a quarterback away. I literally saw an article before the game started that said, well, everybody knew that the 49ers were just a running back away. I was like,
what?
Huh?
From their committee. From their running.
I was like, okay, somebody in the PR department wrote that fucking article. You got to give me a fucking break with that shit. Who the fuck is ever a running back away? Who says that? Stupid. I've never heard that before.
Nor have I. The next game was the Sunday night game. I chose the Dolphins to beat the Steelers.
Ding.
I knew that was going to happen. I did not know it was going to look like it looked. I don't know if I've ever watched a victory that concerned me about my team as much as this one. So I was not impressed.
How many interceptions did Tua almost throw?
Yeah. There were like
they don't keep that stat line.
They dropped 5 interceptions at least.
They don't keep that stat line. That would be funny.
So I wasn't that impressed. The Dolphins came out like they were going to beat the crap out of the Steelers. They scored on the first 3 drives. They put up 16 points in the first half, and then they just said, you know what? Scoring is overrated. Let's make it dramatic. Jonathan Rollins is up in the middle of the night. Why not stress him out? And that's what they did. And Mike McDaniel, he starts to feel himself. He's got the ego. It reminded me a bit of Shanahan. Right there at like the 20-yard line. Jason Sanders is a really good kicker. Take the field goal, and you're up by 2 scores. And and I can release my sphincter a little bit. But no, they want my sphincter locked. So they go for it on 4th down and then run the same play that they ran on 3rd down. And if you've ever played Madden football, John Madden tells you, if you could have got it on 3rd down, you wouldn't be on 4th down. And then nobody listens. They still go for it, and they don't get it. And that's what Madden says it. It stayed close. And they almost let the rookie do their thing and win the game, but Pickett decided that he wanted the Dolphins to do his last name, and they did. They picked it in the end zone. Noah Igbenogany, who had been getting I could see all of the – I was following on Twitter because the game was kind of boring. So I was just watching to see what people were saying on Twitter. And almost every Dolphins fan was talking about how Noah Igbenogany is a piece of shit player that should have never got drafted high. It's a Flores mistake, blah, blah, blah. And then he wins the game with a walk-off interception, basically.
Shout out to that name pronunciation. Well done. It's better you than me. I didn't want to have to say that name.
Oh, yeah. I like Noah. And he came into a crowded cornerback room and doesn't get that many shots. So then when he gets on the field, everybody wants to pick on him. But the Dolphins did not impress.
Speaking of names, Kenny Pickett out here living up to his namesake, throwing 3 interceptions.
Yeah, man.
My man, former Bulldog George Pickens had a nice touchdown in this game.
On Igbenogany.
Yeah. What do you want me to do? He scored a touchdown. What do you want from me?
Yeah. What else? What could you
do? How did you stay awake for this game? There were 0 points scored in the second half.
Yeah, I saw that. I tried to rewatch it because I like to go back and watch the 40-minute thing for as many games as I can before we come in here. And I was like, I know the final score, and it's the beginning of the 3rd quarter, and that's the final score already. Let me just stop watching this. I remember that it's just gonna make my stomach hurt. So after the failed 4th down, I just stopped watching. But yeah, the Dolphins they looked like they could run the ball with Raheem Mostert, and then so that was one positive. But the Steelers, I mean, they held it pretty. Like they adjusted in the second quarter. And Miami couldn't because they were exploiting the middle of the field, and then they took it away. And then it was just like, now we just have to put our rookie quarterback out there and see if we can score. They just couldn't. But Miami had no answer for Steelers' answer, and that concerns me. But the Steelers, I don't know, man. I feel like it just showed how good of a coach Mike Tomlin is to like keep this horrible roster in all of these games.
That's a fair point. And also, I think you probably have to credit a little bit of the Dolphins' performance to Tua maybe being a little rusty.
Because he's so accurate normally. And he was like, even some catches that Hill made, he wasn't in stride like a lot. That's like Tua's, that's his advantage.
I really like the game script that they came in, that they started with, where it was like, I saw some clip where it was like, they actually put a stopwatch on how quickly Tua was throwing the ball. Yeah. And it was never more than 2 seconds.
This is crazy.
But that's smart.
He concerned people with and this is what I didn't like. I didn't like when they're like, oh, the coach doesn't want him to do that because he was scrambled a couple times. And it's like, you can't take that away from people, man. They're protecting him as much as they can anyway when they do scramble. They slide. Tua was going forward, but he was initiating contact with his non-throwing shoulder.
These guys,
stop it, everybody.
They're just out here looking for narrative. I mean, the same thing was true. Like back to that 49ers Chiefs game, I remember the announcers saying like, the Chiefs just put up 44 points on the #1 defense in the NFL, and it's like, okay, look, Chiefs are good, we get it, but let's not kid ourselves. The 49ers were their #1 defense in the league when they had everybody healthy.
Right.
But
they limped into the game.
They've got like 10 starters out. Like, give them a fucking break. Like, they just,
Yeah, so that was that game. I wasn't happy, but I was happy still. But you know what made me happy? Huh?
Tell me.
The Patriots getting that ass whooped by the lowly Chicago Bears. I was believing. I drank the Kool-Aid. I was talking about how Bill Belichick keeps pulling it out, showing how big it is. I thought this was going to be an under only because the Bears wouldn't be able to score at all. Next thing you know, the Bears are running because they're just running the clock out because they beat the shit out of the Patriots.
I told you before we got on to start recording that I actually wrote my opening paragraph for this game before I went to bed last night, assuming I fully expected to wake up and see that Bill Belichick had comfortably passed George Halas for sole possession of second most wins in NFL history as a head coach. That did not happen. And I don't know if this is true. I do question the source, but I could have swore that I read somewhere that Bill, he pulled it out. He showed the Bears how big it is before the game even started. And that was pretty much the moment that the ghost of George Halas swooped in and said, "Is that it?"
Winning his coach? Come on, man.
Mac Jones. Yeah, he's like, you may pass me.
The fuck out of here with that bullshit.
You will pass me in wins, but not tonight.
Not right now.
Mac Jones was back for just the briefest of visits. He only played 3 drives. He went 3 for 6, 13 yards. He threw a pick, an absolute floater, right? Almost like a basketball floater, where he steps up and he's like, whoop.
Yeah.
There were like 4 Bears in the area. And as everybody knows, you don't want to hang out in an area that has 4 Bears in it. Like I wouldn't. If I
put honey on the ball, he put honey on the ball too. Just whoop.
If I saw a particular space, whether it be interior, exterior, I don't know. Like if I saw 4 Bears in one place, I would be like, I'm going to go to a different place. Because that's not a good place to be.
No.
He throws it off the back foot like a beach ball. He kind of had a feeling that Jones was going to be on a short leash, but even I didn't expect Bill to give him the hook that quickly.
Yeah. He ran a couple times too.
Yeah, Zappy didn't fare much better. The Bears defense, they really stepped up.
Man.
In the Patriots' house and had a fucking night, dude.
Remember when nobody won in New England for like 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Remember they had some streak of 20-something games?
Oh, that shit's over. That
place used to be the biggest home field advantage until Seattle was built. And man, oh man, I was loving it. Even though we lost a bet.
Yeah.
I was still like, through watching it, I was like, okay, so Patriots will go ahead and come back. They're going to make some adjustments. And they just let Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears beat them. And it's just like,
the defense, the Bears defense held the Patriots run game to 70 total yards. They forced Zappy to fumble the ball away. The secondary got 2 more picks before it was all said and done, one of which was by my man, former Bulldog, Roquan Smith. Not my fault.
How about the Bears rushing yards? 243 yards on them.
Yep.
I know you could run on the Patriots. I didn't know you could run like that.
Yeah. Fields had 82 yards rushing by himself and a touchdown. And then I guess it was pretty much Montgomery and Khalil Herbert who took care of the rest. The Patriots had no answers for these Bears and did not score a single point in the second half. Not a one.
The crowd was booing them in the first half. They were booing decisions. They were booing.
Weren't they calling? I read that they were like calling for Zappy.
Yeah, they were booing Mac Jones.
And then they got him.
Belichick, being the friendly person he is, brought in Zappy. Shout out to Matt Patricia, man. Just
hey, we said it a few weeks ago. He's a brilliant football mind. He just did not see these Bears. I don't think, maybe he doesn't know about the thing. Like when you have all these Bears in one place that you should not
He's not a camping type of guy.
Yeah, maybe he's a city guy. I don't know.
Yeah, he's probably a city guy.
You know?
Yeah. Maybe we were fooled by the beard. He looks like he should know bear etiquette. Mm. I'm so glad, man. I was gleeful as I watched that. I was laughing on the subway as I watched that game.
That's funny. I was shocked. I literally looked at the score this morning and thought, oh yeah, of course the Patriots won. And then I kind of rubbed my eyes and was like, wait, what? Shit.
If they would have won, we lost the bet because we thought there would be 15 completions because the Bears would be behind and Justin Fields would have to throw it. And it turns out they didn't have to throw it anymore because the Patriots couldn't score and they just ran the clock out, basically. Insane.
Mm-hmm. Well done, Bears.
Bears and the Patriots have the same record.
That's funny. I didn't think about that.
The Patriots are in the bottom of the AFC East, looking up.
Wow. That's pretty funny.
At all three teams. It's great.
Shocking.
Yeah, man. Well, that was this week, week 7 in the 2022 season. We're almost halfway through the season, man. And I have less of a clue than I think I've ever had.
I was actually going to suggest after next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe we should.
Update, yeah.
Well, maybe we do a. I was thinking maybe we do a segment, like a mid-season report card.
Yeah.
Segment.
Oh, I like that.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll do that. Look out for that. Let's get our superlatives out of the way and then get out of here. Let me do the real MVP first.
Go for it.
I feel like I should get this off my chest, man. Steve Wilks. A lot of people might not know this name. I know the Panthers are supposed to be a shitty team. The Panthers know they're supposed to be a shitty team. The front office of the Panthers are trying to ensure that the Panthers are a shitty team so that they can rebuild and get assets and whatnot. But be that as it may, Steve Wilks has these boys ready to play. I didn't even know he was the interim coach until I saw him kicking their second best player, Robbie Anderson, off the sidelines. Then they traded him away, Robbie Anderson. Then they traded away their best player, Christian McCaffrey. And somehow, with this downtrodden team, a backup quarterback, and a depleted roster, they beat the brakes off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A few weeks ago, they couldn't get out of their own way with a serviceable roster. And I don't know, and I know that it's probably not sustainable at all, what they're doing. But for this week, and maybe this week only, Steve Wilks.
You the real MVP.
You know how they say a lot of times, like girls who hang out together a lot, like they get on the same, like their periods start to sync up or whatever.
Yeah.
I think this may be happening to us as well, or it could just be a great minds think alike. I'm staying with Carolina. I didn't go with Steve Wilks for my MVP, but I'm going with the Carolina backfield. Okay. Just days after losing their superstar running back, everyone expected them to be virtually in the tank. But Deonta Foreman and Chuba Hubbard pulled a Geno Smith, refusing to write back after being certifiably written off.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though.
And they ran that rock down the throats of what is supposed to be one of the best defenses in the NFL. Will they continue to do this? Probably not. But they brought honor to themselves and to a franchise that arguably does not deserve any honor for the way that it's managed. So for 1 week, and likely 1 week only, Deonta Foreman and Chuba Hubbard, y'all
you the real MVP.
I can't believe it. Okay, that's why you laugh like that when I said Steve Wilks. Like, oh yeah, that. All right, trash of the week. I'm gonna have to go with everybody's backup darling team.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
I'm talking about the Lions. Hard Knocks made us want it for you, but you just can't make it work. They started off valiantly against the Cowboys. Thought it was going to be a game for a bit, but this once top offense has dropped 2 offensive steaming turds in a row. And one of them after a bye week. 2 weeks to prepare for this game, to get this thing going. And you put up 6 points? I know the Cowboys are good, but come on, Lions. I can't express enough how much it hurts me to do this. But this week I got to say,
You are trash!
Man, that was some tough love. It felt like there was some love in there.
Yeah, there was definitely love.
A little Hard Knocks love.
A little Hard Knocks love, man.
How dare you? That has to be one of my favorite sound drops. I love it. Okay, for my trash, look, I know that it feels like I'm out here dunking on Tom Brady, which, to be fair, I am. But in my defense, as I said, this goes deep. There's a lot of history to it. Okay. Yes. I have no issues acknowledging Brady's accomplishments. So don't come at me with that shit. Okay. The records, all the comebacks, all the rings, his status is undeniable. What gets me with Brady, though, is actually how he handles adversity and how oftentimes it unmasks this level of entitlement that makes him one of my least favorite players in the league. Brady is one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the league. You have the best roster in your division by a country mile. You completely destroyed your own personal life in an effort to pull off this insane behind-the-scenes tampering fiasco in Miami that ultimately led to the firing of Brian Flores.
Ooh.
Right, which everyone doesn't want to talk about anymore, only to come back to the Bucs and act like you're part owner of that team. Okay, you look completely checked out and totally prepared to bring everyone down with you.
Damn.
You are screaming at your players on the sidelines, smashing tablets, and then going on your Monday morning podcast to make jokes about it, only to come out and get beat by Mitch Trubisky and PJ Walker. Okay? Look, receivers have dropped a few balls here and there, for sure. But I feel like, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm just going to say it, I feel like 90% of those incompletions, they're all in the dirt. Okay? Tom Brady.
There's a lot of bad football from what I watch.
Yeah, Tom. Tom, I want you to listen to me closely. It's over. You're washed up. You never should have unretired. Enough is never enough for a dude who has done it all. And when he comes back to try and get a little more and it doesn't go his way, he throws all of his toys on the floor and starts screaming at everybody like a fucking baby. I respect your past, Tom Brady, but in the moment, right now, you are fucking trash.
You are trash!
Woo! Shit got learned. It's my shit got learned. Besides, I just learned some stuff from you, man. Jeez. The wide receiver position is more important than we thought. We're quick to give credit to quarterbacks and coaches. Scheme and arm talent get the glory when we talk about top offenses. But this week, we watched a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers take another L to a lesser team without his shiny toy, Devontae Adams. Or his other toy. He lost his other wide receiver, Scantling. Josh Allen's career turned around when he got Diggs. Tua doubters haven't been saying much this year. Tyreek Hill has finally came to town. Cliff Kingsbury's success seems to be tied to DeAndre Hopkins. I'm feeling like the wide receivers aren't getting enough love, man. They're changing the game. The way the game is played right now, wide receivers are more important than we have been willing to get credit for. So I'm going to say that's the shit that I learned, man. These wide receivers is more important than we thought.
Good point. My shit got learned. It might be a little too early to say this. And my take here might go up in flames. But this one is for my girl Saga, because this week I learned that the Cincinnati Bengals are back. Okay. They have back-to-back weeks where they managed to unlock the Burrow to Chase show. Mm-hmm. Plus, Burrow is ripping this thing all over the yard to just about everyone right now, which looks so much more like what they looked like last year. It's not just Chase, it's Boyd, it's Higgins. They still haven't gotten the run game going quite as well as I think they should, but I feel like it feels like something's heating up in Cincinnati. And yes, of course, those 2 games that they won were against the Saints and the Falcons. But up next, they have the Browns, Panthers, Steelers, and the Titans before they get a real team in the Kansas City Chiefs. So I kind of feel like they're getting ready to go on a little bit of a run here. So yeah, I at the moment, I'm saying these Bengals, they back.
Oh, wow. That's who they?
That is who. That's so funny. Yeah, that is who they or who that.
Scariest AFC team. What you got? Bengals?
No, I feel like, as much as I think that they're back, even though the Bills are on a bye week, I got to stick with Josh Allen and the boys. I mean, the Chiefs look great, obviously. But at the same time, they did give up. I feel like the Chiefs, as much as I enjoy watching the Chiefs, there's such entertaining football. And when they put up 44 points, it's kind of easy to overlook the fact that they gave up over 20-something points too. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is precisely the kind of thing that got them beat in the AFC Championship game last year, giving up points like that. So for me, it's still the Bills.
Okay. I got the Chiefs, man. I put the Chiefs. I forgot. The Bills didn't play. I forgot all about them. That's what happens. But the Bills are probably still the best team in the AFC. But I'm going to stick with it. I said the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs. NFC, I will say that I did not forget about the Eagles, who were on a bye week as well. So I put the Eagles as I think they played the Bills this year. We play the NFC. No, we played the NFC North. I'm sorry. My bad. But they might play each other because we'll see.
In the Super Bowl.
But the Eagles are head and shoulders above this weak-ass NFC. That's what I have to say, especially with the Bucs losing like that and the Packers. Like, all of the teams that might give them a run. What are we going to say? The Vikings are up there with the Eagles? It's like...
I agree. I mean, given the fact that the Cowboys didn't look very good, even though they beat the Lions, the NFC is weak as fuck. There's not a single NFC team that showed up this week in a way that made me think they could really challenge these Eagles, right? Who are basically getting ready to go into what is the easiest part of their schedule. Yeah. And they're coming off a bye. For me, it's still the Eagles.
Yeah, man. All right. Another week in the books. Thanks for checking this episode of SveNFL out, man. It's been fun. This was really fun. Let's get this thing out of here, man. Yes. This has been the latest episode of SveNFL. Thanks for checking us out. We'll be back with the predictions for week 8. It's been Jonathan Rollins.
Schif Mishara.
With SveNFL. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
Later, y'all.